Inkolo yamaBuddha ngiyayithanda. Abelungu bahlala isithanga bese babeka iminwe kanje izithupha zihlangane bese kube khona ozashaya insimbi bese bayacimeza bonke bese bayaphefumula baphinde behlise. Siyakhuleka babam sicela kuwe babam sicela uzwelo somandla ebunzimeni babam obusehlelayo thina sobiza wena somandla siyakhuleka babam sicela kuwe babam sicela uzwelo somandla ebunzimeni babam obusehlelayo. Igama lami Ngisilungile Qhiliza ngifunda ibanga lesithupha esinevuso high school. Ngithanda ukudlala ibhola nokugijima nokusina. Ngifisa ukuba bese ngiqeda isikole ngifisa ukuba yiphoyisa nomdokotela. Hallelujah. Engiphatha kabi ukuthi ubaba mangabe buyile akathenga ukudla. Into engiphatha kabi nokuthi futhi umama nobaba baphuza bobabili. Baphuza ngawo utshwala. Phela bese bakhuma ngibakhoza uma nathi athi baba badala bona bafuna ukuphatha izingane. Misibakhoza. Mina mase ngikhulile ngingancenga ubaba ukuthi imali meholile akayinike mina ngithenga ukudla bese asalelwe yakhe no 50 rand eceleni phela. Uma phela imali uma nathi ngizayibeka ukuthi ngomsombuluko mangabe kade behole ngoLesihlanu athi kuthi ngomsombuluko athi ngizahamba ke ngokhokha angabe kusale seyidla yonke. Ibuye ebusuku sesilele kokunya ngabuyi silale sonke. Kukhona ukudla okufikayo la ongathengwa umana nobaba kodwa ngikwazi ukuthi kuvilaphi. Karimapa tem Karimapa no.
Africa is full of surprises. It's got this primal energy still that bursts forth every now and then. But it's got very wonderful growth potential because you can still shape something from it. Something new always out of Africa, you know. And I think even in the case of Buddhism, that is highly likely that any new form of Buddhism that is going to come about in the Western world will probably have its origin in Africa. And I feel very excited to be part of that. I was not so much converted, if you like, to Buddhism because of its lofty philosophy at first, but because of the beautiful people that came out of it. And that, I think, is probably the ultimate test of a religion. What kind of person comes out of it? My coming to this country and establishing myself here has been a very intuitive drive, you know, that something has pushed me around to come here in the first place, to get this property and to do this, which I consider to be a great, probably the center of my life. I mean, if I leave anything behind at all that's worthwhile, then this is probably it.
Louis Van Luan has been always supportive. That's what I can just say. He has always been supportive of our project because at the beginning we didn't have any money. So I think it's the Buddhist community that organized, raised funds so that you can start the project. Everyone had to give a name. And at the end we chose Woza Moya because it has to do with the coming of the Holy Spirit.
Into engiyithanda ngoza moya ukuthi uwoza moya unika abantu imithi abagulayo futhi uwoza moya uyazithanda ingane.
Of course, it was inevitable, operating here as we do, that we became aware of this immense AIDS problem, which is particularly bad in KwaZulu-Natal. And it happened amongst our own staff. And again, spontaneously, as a Buddhist, you want to respond to that, see what you can do. So the idea was then born that rather than giving individuals the occasional advice when they're already sick with AIDS, that it makes sense to try and prevent AIDS. And that is when we had Sue Hedden, who speaks fluently Zulu and who has become an absolute saint. She's the Mother Teresa, I think, of this part of the world. Yes. So she, as you know, goes out there and helps where she can. And not only just in AIDS, but in helping children go to school, buy them clothes, books. It seemed to us a natural outflow of caring for your environment. See where you are needed, where you can help.
Well, I mean, I think Louis, you know, just him owning the Buddhist Retreat Centre, Wozamoya Project would have really struggled to start and be who we are today without, you know, Louis and the Buddhist Retreat Centre support. I mean, we've been housed and supported by them for the last 5 years.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah,
Slew, I can say she is vulnerable because her mother and father, they just drank. I can say they're abusing the money. They are not supporting the children. That's why we took Slew to our support group. Because before, Slew haven't got uniform. She didn't pay school fees. You know, the other child in Slew's family died. That child was fainting daily at school because of he was starving. Slew is supported by Chrissy and Louie. They send us the money every month, and then we go to town and buy food. They are kindly people.
Wozamoya basho ukuthi angipha esibhala incwadi yokubonga sayibhala. Incwadi ngayibhala ngathi siyabonga Chris ngokusilethela ukudla ngoba besinane emzini abantu. Ngingathanda ukuhlangana nabo Chris benelungu. Umehluko ukuthi isonto lamaZiyoni ligqoka ingubo ezimhlophe nezinombala ohlaza kanti ezamaBuddhas orange. Futhi emaZiyoni kushawa isigubhu yimbhobho kanti emaBuddhist akushawa lutho kushawa insimbi kuphela.
Longamukeli umvuzo onganacala owenza lokho akayikuzanyazanyiswa naphakade. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Isho ukuthi isigubhu sisho ukuthi laba banezithunya eZiyoni laba banezithunya ukuthi bangabi nesithunywa kakhulu ngoba isigubhu singakhali ngoba isithunywa silethwa isigubhu. Kanti emaBuddhist insimbi isuke ibiza abantu nje abantu sebeyalungisa-ke sebeyeza ukuthi yakhala insimbi esontweni kanti la ayikho. Ubona ngewasho ukuthi sekufanele ngesontweni kuphela.
People here, they are poor. Sometimes they go to DRC and steal things, but the Buddhism people, they are so patient. They only call even the person been caught. They just talk with that person and they don't hit him. They only just talk, which means that it's unusual.
I think their philosophy is just wisdom, to be wise, and also to be compassionate. That's what I've been seeing them displaying it to people in the community. People always come to the Buddhist Retreat Center with their problems because they can see that that is the only place they can get help. People are hungry, starving, people don't have clothes, people don't have money, people are sick. I think that is the main reason why people usually go to the Buddhist Retreat Center. There's always a belief that where there are white people, there is money. I'm sorry to say that.
Istory engiqeda ukusifunda manje sithi uSakyamuni Buddha babehamba manje bahlangana nomfana eqhuba amagusha bambuza ukuthi uwasaphi lamagusha wathi umfana wakhombela ilodwa wathi liyobulawa bese wathi uBuddha abaliyeke waphinde futhi uBuddha ehamba yedwa wahlangana nabanye beshaya inyoni ngomtsawulo eseyishayile omunye wabo bese wathi esethi uyoyidla bese wathi uBuddha kayiyeke yandisa inyoni kusho ukuthi uBuddha uyayithanda imvelo ngoba kusho ukuthi izilwane akafuni izibulawe.
I think the Buddhism for my own knowledge, but I don't know it's true or what else. They don't kill. I think if they don't eat meat, isn't? So if because they believe that if you eat meat, you first kill and then you eat meat. So that's why I think they are also helping those people who are poor, because they don't like them to die.
Inyama yenkomo angithandi angidli inyama yenkomo inyama nje yezinto ezikhamba ngenyawo zokufa angidli ngidle inkukhu kuphela ke neqanda
I can say I like it, but they say we don't use meat here. Because even the time we were doing children Christmas party, the time we were doing there at VRC, we were just cooking dal and also curry and then other things, but not meat. But to us, black people, you know the party is party with meat.
A really meaningfully lived life is not about finding a cozy little place to hide away in, but to rather take life on the chin and engage all the difficulties that come our way inevitably with some gusto and some courage. I left Holland because I feared this kind of claustrophobic life that was ahead of me, where everything was predictable and organized before. In other words, I wanted to live dangerously. And when I had this choice of going either to New Zealand or Australia or Canada or Africa, naturally I chose Africa because that seemed the most dangerous to me. You know? And I've lived dangerously ever since and enjoyed it. To a certain degree, spiritual awakening or spiritual emancipation can be equated to be able to go out in the world and engage it in the rough and tumble way in which it comes to us.
I think people are very respectful. I mean, one thing I'm deeply impressed by this community, and I just see it over and over and over again, is how open and how accepting and how non-judgmental people are in terms of who you are, your spiritual practice. There just seems to be this general acceptance and openness that you don't find so easily, I think, in our culture.
Okay. For me, different religions or maybe different denominations do not mean anything. It's a rope that leads you to God. Everything they do is part of the activities that we also need to do. As a Christian, I also feel like you need to help people when they are in crisis. Every time after having helped someone, you feel happy yourself. There's that satisfaction inside you.
The more meditators there are, the more gentle the people can tend to become, the more compassionate and more kind. But I think generosity and a good life starts with oneself. And if you are a demonstration of that, it will rub off on other people. And an example is indeed the center itself. I mean, it was started as a form of insanity, I think. It was a mad, crazy moment in my life where I decided to build this thing out of scratch in a desperately poor area. And yet I was driven by something or the other. And people keep telling me what a marvelous influence it has been in their life.
If I just meditate, many things can come. I even teach my children to meditate. The first time I was trying to teach them. They were just laughing, but now they can do it. Even my grandchildren.
The tradition is, of course, that these stupas contain relics of the Buddha, or his disciples, or even manuscripts, anything sacred that has some significance in our tradition. This one hasn't got anything in it. We left it empty. And we had to lift a hole in the stupa before closing it up to be able to get inside and to remove all the scaffolding. And when my induna, my helper, my black helper, saw me building that up again, he says, "What are you doing? Because how can you get in now?" So I said, no, it's going to be empty. So he said, "Why? You know, I mean," I said, "Well, look, isn't Nkulunkulu God, the God in the Zulu thing? Can you see him? can you touch him? No. He's all over the place. He's like the space. I said, well, that's why it's empty, you see. And he's never forgotten that, you know, that now, as far as he's concerned, Gulu Gulu lives inside that open space inside him, which is good enough for us, you know.
Stop. Lesi silapha esimhlophe. Yebo ngiyasibona. Insimbi ukuthi sayitshela ukuthi abakumele bekhona ogula ngengqondo. Urawunda kathathu bese uyahamba uyayeka ukugula.
For me, stupa is just a reminder to them of the teachings that were done by maybe the Buddha. I think the stupa will always remind them of the good things that Buddha did.
Lungile was one of the children on our list. We have a very long list of orphan vulnerable children who should qualify for food parcels, but unfortunately our funding only allows us to do, at the moment, we're doing about 25 families. So if people come to Wozamoya and they want to do something to help, often we'll say, would you be okay to do food parcels a month? So that's how Slungile's family, well, Slungile receives her food parcels every month.
Ngingathanda ukuhlangana nabo Chris benelungu. Mengihlangana nabo ngingakwazi ukuxoxa nabo sengibabona amehlo namehlo. Ngikwazi ukuxoxa nabo uthi ngiyabonga ngoba umana ngakuthenga ukudla. Ngiphathela umlomo nomlomo nje.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Come in. Nice to see you. Kunjani. Are you? Hello. Good to see you. Yeah, she's very shy.
Okay. Okay, you will have to answer that.
He was born in 563 BC. But that's a long time ago. No?
Where he was born?
In the north of India.
That's India.
And you know how long he lived?
He
lived 80 years old. And he also had a wife at one stage, when he was young, and a child. And then when he became a monk, his wife and the child also joined the order. The buildings were more of a priority for me to get ready. So the Buddha statue had to wait a long time for that to come about. And I had only built the pedestal on which it sits. It's about that high. And we had a monk coming here once. He said, I've just found out what this pedestal is for. You want to build a Buddha statue there? It's going to be colossal. 5 meters, I believe. The biggest one in the Western world. I said, yeah, so what? He said, well, look, it's the most meritorious thing a Buddhist can do, to build an image of the Buddha. And I want to be part of it. It was a colossal task, obviously, you can imagine. When a nose is this size and an eye is this, And you are that close to it. You can't really judge the proportions all that well. But, it was great fun doing it.
Ubhudisti wangadli isonto lonke. Wayenzela ukuthi mezacila kazokuhlala kahle ngoba mangabe esamkhulu akuhlaleki kahle. Ubhudisti uhlala kahle nomfuna ukuhlala njengaye. Nje sihleli manje mina ngikwazi. Ngisazama nje kancane.
Man came from Africa, and the first religious stirrings probably happened in South Africa. You know, there's evidence that this is probably the case. Long before anywhere else, there's evidence that people thought about life and death, and the miracle of the seasons, and birth, and things like that in this part of the world. And you can still sense that. There's still something coming forth every now and then that is bright and new. This country is sufficiently chaotic and confused still to allow for new things to come out. You know? And I love it.
She's open. She would say what she liked. Most importantly, she's clever. It's unfortunate that she's from the unwealthy family. I think his home background will not allow her to go further with her studies, whereas she's very brilliant.
Izifiso zami ukuthi ngifisa nje ukuthi uma nabe nobaba bake baye kuphuza izifiso zami. Esesibili ukuthi ngifisa nje ukuthi ngiqede isikole phela.
Wilt u dvd's bestellen van onze programma's? Bel dan 040 282 0022. Als u meer wilt weten over onze uitzendingen, vraag dan de gratis programmagids aan op nummer 035 677 1611. Of kijk op www.boeddhistischeomroep.nl.